Hello and welcome to another episode of Black Time Cabaret podcast.
Hello.
So tempted to say the other podcast name. I'm going to be your host today, Pat, joined by
Caitlin.
and we have.
I'm Joel.
Yeah, we have
Nice
Joel.
to meet you.
And we have. Luke.
I am Luke. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, before we start, this episode is going to be mainly about. We had an episode about Joel.
Your time's
Indeed,
up.
we did.
It's
Oh,
my,
I'm
it's my
sad.
time now.
It's still
my
here.
time.
It's all good.
Okay, I have to steal my thunder, do you?
Yeah.
And today we're going to have an episode with about Luke.
It's all about that bass. No treble. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cut that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that
No,
in the
they get-
final product.
That will stay with you. So I guess before we start, we're just gonna shamelessly plug some stuff. So, we've released the cover art for "You've Got Potential." You okay, the trolley? And
Fox about.
That is
In-
Charlie.
Here's Charlie.
Is it? Oh, okay.
that will also be in preparation for our release of "You've Got Potential," like our single, sometime in July.
In July.
Yeah. But without further ado, is there anything you'd like to say first about bass, Luke?
Yes. I think for those who do not know me, which, we've been around for a while now, so I'd hope that they know the bassist. You've already heard from one perspective of another aspect of the rhythm section, which is drums. So
Indeed.
I just kind of wanted to take the time to be able to have that conversation a bit about, what is the role of bass, what I think is the role of bass in music, as well as what I think my role is on the album, things that I'm excited about, technical stuff, and just to have a bit of a conversation about bass.
Things that goes doo 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 doo.
Yeah, the low sounding instrument.
Yes. So, on that note, what do you actually consider your role is as a bassist of Black Time Cabaret?
Why are you
or just in
laughing at
general?
that?
It's just a weird question to ask since you're
It's like,
I've
what
known
is
you
your
for
role here?
2 years now. But yeah,
3 years, mate. 3 years.
3 years. I'm so
Boom,
sorry.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while.
Yes.
Well, I think the role of the bass is a number of different things.
Right.
I've been brought up to believe that it is a key role in the rhythm section along with drums. Like we work to kind of hold down a beat, but also kind of be a driving force in rhythm and, kind of get that momentum going for the other instrumentation. I've also kind of been, when I started university, I started learning about inversions and kind of how they predominantly change chord structure and how kind of vital bass, the bass note of chords to determine the overall sound of a chord. So I think I'm in this weird kind of middle ground between I affect the rhythm by kind of affecting momentum in a piece, but I also kind of have that effect on also pitch when you're talking about overall chord structure and progression.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people kind of describe bass as like a glue because you're dipping your toes in supporting what the rhythm section it's the drums, what they're doing, if they're dictating the beat and the overall timing of the song.
It's like the engine of a song,
Yeah.
kinda.
But then you're also establishing the groundwork for the harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think when people think bass, they don't necessarily consider how it affects necessarily chord structure. It's more just this is an applicable part of the rhythm section. It is a part of the song that is kind of just meant to be that rhythm, not necessarily how it affects the overall pitch.
Yeah. What's it been like in terms of writing the parts for? Wait, we can start with Act 1, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the bass line for Act 1, how did that feel? And how did you go about it?
So with Act 1, I remember getting told on my very first rehearsal, change everything. That was what I was told. And going into a band like Black Dime and being told that like, we're pretty much writing most things from scratch in terms of like this particular part. It is a very daunting and intimidating thing because there's a lot of technical stuff involved with Black Dime. It's not just like playing a modern pop song that it's like, oh, I just need to remember 4 notes. It's
Not a predictable structure.
It is not a predictable
It's changing
structure.
like for all the time.
James described it as through composed because like there's constantly changing parts and it doesn't really kind of follow normal like general song structure.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like prog in general. Right?
Yeah, I mean it's just a
That's
prog rock.
prog
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's just very proggy.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah.
like going into that, it's like it is exciting, it is intimidating, but it's also like it is going to challenge me enough to want to do it. So Brandon had sent over all the demos. He had his little Google Drive going on, and I listened to them. I listened to like the stuff that we are going to be rehearsing. That's probably why Incantations was like a more on the day job because like we didn't really have a whole lot of rehearsals with it.
Well, we'll get back to that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But I'd have a listen. I think like a key thing is starting simple and then kind of building your way up. So like it might just be, all right, I need to know what is the bass note of these particular chords that you've listed. And for example, if you're giving me like a D with an F sharp in the bass for like a guitar chord, then it's like, well, I know what my bass note has got to be. And that allows me like a lot of avenue to kind of make it a bit more complicated. It allows me to kind of determine like, all right, well, to what extent can I complicate this without kind of taking away from the overall piece.
I think like I know some people they ask, like, oh, how do you write a melody or anything, right? And it's like I think that's kind of the advice that I would also give, like in terms of just start with the skeleton of the melody.
Yeah, like
and
start
then,
very, very
then
simple.
just add a bunch of stuff in between. Like you got your point A, B, C, D, and then just add stuff in between, and you're okay usually. Because at least you can fall back on that A, B, C, or D. That at least is solid.
And I think it kind of goes as well as like you can hear from any music teacher if you're learning an instrument, like bass or guitar or keyboard. Learn your scales. Like that is such a good tool to have, especially from like a songwriting perspective. But also like don't rely like on your scales like super heavily. Like rely on your ear. Yeah. Because if you're just focusing too hard on, I've got to make sure all the notes are accurate. Like there are some times where you have like passing notes. Like those notes that aren't in the scale, but like you want to kind of use to get to a note that is. So I think like in terms of writing bass lines and bass melodies, it's kind of like the same concept. Is know your scales, know what notes are going to sound good, know what notes are not going to work. I've hit a lot of bum notes in my day, and like you kind of know what sounds right and what doesn't, and like especially in music like this where there is so much happening all at the same time. Like you kind of need to be able to really kind of pinpoint like what sounds right and what doesn't.
Well, to be fair, like sometimes the bung notes are like because the chord sheet wasn't right.
Interesting.
I mean, it's also like there's a few reasons why you would have like bung notes as well. Like for instance, like when you first start learning a piece and the time signature is a bit like what you like, not what you would expect.
Yeah.
You start playing like that chord and then you start going to another chord, but oh wait, it's actually like in 7/16 or whatever. Like it's not saying I have any 7/16 songs, but like I'm just saying that like it is very easy to get tripped up in time signatures that you're not familiar with.
Yeah, and then change chords at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and change harmony.
Here's the question: where would you draw the line versus how much you want to have fun with your parts versus how you would want to serve the song?
Well, look, I think in songs like Autumn, I served myself a lot more. But I also think there are songs where I probably could have done a lot more. But I was kind of afraid to step out.
I reckon so too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of times where I'm afraid to like step out because it's like there is so much happening. Like I don't want to detract from that.
Yeah.
But I think that's also like that's a conversation you have as a band and like with other people because like you kind of need that outside opinion to really kind of narrow.
I mean,
in
it's
and
what
say,
I brought up. I think I brought it up as like in my episode where you got to find that line. But it's like you just don't want to stroke your ego.
Yeah.
So like, having fun with your parts, but being sensible about it.
Yeah.
Although Brandon and I just like, I guess it's just the guitar thing. We're just like,
yeah, but I think there's a lot more room when you're in like the role of like lead guitar and even sometimes rhythm guitar. Like whereas if you're said like we're in rhythm, if we are going too far with it, like it kind of disrupts everything else within the song. Which is I don't want to do that. I want the songs to sound good and funky and groovy. I want songs where people can kind of, for instance, kind of understand the rhythm so that they can kind of get with it more, as opposed to like something that's overcomplicated that I've done for the sake of doing it. Where it's like, oh, that bass line is really cool, but I don't understand anything else in the song.
And I guess in the recording of Act 1, are there any like particular? Actually, what is your favorite bass line in Act 1 then? And I guess after that, do you reckon there's any that you would have like any particular songs where you're like, actually, maybe I could have done a bit more here.
In terms of favorite song in Act 1 for bass, I would actually say Autumn. Because I like the finger tapping. I think it's a fun thing to do.
Works. Yeah.
For those who aren't aware, like in Autumn, I do this thing where I have chords in my left hand and I'm using my right hand to kind of tap the notes on the fretboard while playing. Yeah.
Can we see you do it in the video? I think there's
it is
footage
there
of it.
in the music video.
Yeah. You can see me do that in the Autumn video. Put a link in the in the video somewhere. But it's put it up on screen. That'd be nice.
Put it up on screen. I should say that into the microphone. Sorry.
Yeah. In terms of stuff that I think I could have done more, maybe Clown. Like, I think Clown.
Kind of from memory, it kind of just sort of goes from bass note to bass note, right? Like
there's like a lot of passing notes, but I think that probably could have been more. But at the same time, like I think it kind of serves the song well enough where it's like, did I need to add more to that? Which I think is also like,
I feel like probably not a whole lot in that one in particular. But
it is an introduction to the album.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to go too crazy with it as an introduction.
Yeah.
I wish that I had learned Death Waltz a lot more properly, even though we didn't record it on bass or anything. But like playing it live, I would have liked more time.
It is a weird one because I guess we weren't. None of us are playing it. Like none of us are playing any parts except Caitlin's singing it.
Yeah.
And it's
that's
too
about it.
fast.
It's all external. It's like it's not a BDC song. It's a Caitlin song.
I wish.
Oh, you wrote it.
It's pretty much one song where like most of us like weren't contributing that much technically.
Yeah.
In some ways, it kind of feels like a cover because technically Max wrote the original.
That is
Death Waltz,
True.
and then I just
We did
rearranged
spruce it. We spruced
Believe
it
in
up.
it.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that like I think I could have added more to like the live adaptation there.
I would.
What is this, a movie?
I would love. I mean,
The book was better.
I would love
The score was
to.
better.
I wouldn't mind hearing that again. So I mean, there's still time, is what I'm saying.
We joke about it, but I think it turned out okay.
I thought it turned out okay
I think
live.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
Like,
Live
it's
was
not.
good.
We were like dreading it.
That was like we played it twice prior in rehearsals.
Yeah, actually, we only practiced it twice in rehearsals.
and then we played it once live.
I will say as well, like the bass makes a massive difference. Like, because I just sang along to the orchestral stuff, the strings and and when I get to sing with bass and drums, it's just like it just unlocks this ability to go, okay, I can be bigger, more powerful now.
I think that's kind of the point of them being the rhythm section is kind of like driving, like I said, like that momentum forward. Where it's like
100%.
I can be
definitely.
more energetic. I can be more powerful. I can, like, it's one of those things where I think if the bass or even like the drums aren't like particularly like groovy or they sound kind of robotic, it's a bit hard to really kind of get into playing live.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's a bit more flowy and it's kind of like obviously accurate.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we still got to play accurately, but like
Work to each other very much.
yeah. Then it's like, you know, it's a lot more engaging for us to play, and it's a lot more easy to engage an audience because we'll have that kind of energy behind it.
So that reminds me of the story. Like, we're talking about this a little bit before, but during the recording of like, because we're doing group takes, and how do you feel about group takes? Like
Yes and
recording in
no.
groups. Yes and no.
Yes and no. I think there's
what are your
positives to it. I think there's negatives to it. I think the positives are that you kind of get that energy and that overall engagement with each other.
Oh,
Bless you.
holy smokes. Whoa.
I was trying not to make a scene there, but you all just draw
we had
drew
to.
attention to
We
it
had to.
anyway.
It's like, whew, the town's in danger.
Surprise!
Yeah, as what I was saying before, is like, yeah, I think the positives are like you kind of capture that energy of
Yes.
performing live in a group.
Yep,
and
I
I think it's a
agree.
lot more fun to play because like you're playing live, you're playing with
Yeah.
each other.
You take it. It's you don't feel like you're doing.
You're not in it alone.
Yeah, it feels like I was less. Because you know when you record single takes, you know
You're more observed.
you're
if you are.
more. You got to scrutinize every detail because
Yeah.
you can hear when like especially with bass, right? Because I'm like learning a little bit of bass now, and it's like when you play bass guitar, if you don't mute some of the strings, they'll just
They'll ring. They'll ring.
and so you need to like put a finger on it to stop it from just ringing
Yeah,
all
well,
the
it's
time.
like when
You'll hear that if you
I
do the
press
side
down
of
on the
bass.
string, like that same finger is muting the other strings.
Yes, yeah,
Otherwise, you're kind of going to get this weird buzz and ring sound, which is like, it's a technical thing, but like it is a major game changer in terms of like your overall sound.
yes, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think like there is a lot more scrutiny when you're doing one-on-one takes. Like that's kind of what we're doing in Act 2, and
Yeah.
we'll get to that in a little bit. But I think it's good because it encourages you to be more accurate. You can kind of listen out for your mistakes and kind of say, all right, well, I want to go back and I know I can do a better take and correct it.
Yeah, and
Which I wish I did a lot more of in Act 1. I don't think I did it enough because there are lines that I listen back to and I'm like,
oh shoot,
I wish I had redone that. I wish that with Autumn, actually. I wish that I had redone a lot of Autumn because there's timing there that I think
like
could
the
have been a lot
start
better.
of the very start of the song.
yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And it's like, why didn't I pick up on that? Why didn't I say anything?
Yeah,
Why am I a scrub? But it's, yeah.
like there's definitely like less pressure when you perform doing group takes.
Yeah,
but then
I think the end result was better, like being able to kind of go back after those group takes.
overdub stuff.
Yeah.
yeah,
And, you know, we can all like laugh at each other's mistakes. Whereas it's like, it feels oddly targeted if it's like just you and like your four bandmates listening to your take on the thing.
yeah. There was a moment in It's Lady Midnight, right, where we're just sitting there for like the end of the song.
We're going to talk about the slide.
Yes, we were bringing that up because I still find that as one of your best, but also
that's
kind of saddest moments.
It was like, so, okay. Story time with Luke. Zooming in. So there was, when we were doing Ode, when we were recording it, at the very end, there is a slide. And I must have done like 30, I'm going to say 30. I'm going to say 30 different takes of that slide. And it was like a whiplash level of just like, it is, it's just
Faster!
like, oh, you know, it's too loud.
You just
the slide's too slow. You
Yeah.
didn't meet the notes enough.
Yeah, you didn't. The timing wasn't right. Like you slid too fast, or like, like or you just you sped up towards
I
the
can't
end.
even remember if
created-
at the end.
and made the last note, the slide note so loud. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. like so scrutinized, and I just remember like I can't even remember at the end
We got the actual take.
we got the take, or if we just hit it with like good enough and then moved on.
Yeah.
I just remember being sick of it, and I didn't want to look at it anymore.
I like to think that we got the.
I think
fun-
we did.
I think we did. It was like the last. I think it was like the last 3 or 4 where we're like,
Yeah, it was like
we're
honing in.
pretty much there.
It was like small editing that
Yeah.
I think had to be done.
But, yes, that was.
But it was an annoying one because
that
it was one of those
annoying,
ones
we were
where
sitting
like,
there for like at least like a good.
it wasn't a
solid
normal slide.
10
I had to
10
like
minutes,
mute notes on the way down, so I had to use like 2 fingers for it. It wasn't just like what I usually do with just the one being able to slide down. I had to use 2 fingers to mute notes, so we're not getting quite like a large amount of buzz or through notes on the way down. It was very annoying, but it's also like a new kind of technique that I learned for sliding. So I take it as a learning experience. But it was also, as I said, whiplash level treatment of
It was
an experience.
Yeah, we're just sitting.
We
there
were there
as-
for like half an hour,
as
just doing that one line, just slides over and over again.
As James was like, it was just. Yeah, I think it was just Brandon, Caitlin, and I was just sitting there. We were just like watching James go like, and Luke just go out the same slide.
I definitely remember, like, there were a few where everything was perfect, but then at the very end, and then it'd be like,
Yep.
yeah, that was very
I
painful.
just remember like
Luke's
few
face
of those
expressions.
times, I was just like,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
there's like visible pain.
Yep, I remember that
Yeah.
actually. Yep.
So yeah, Act 1, yeah, I think there was lots of areas for improvement, and I think there's a lot of taken from that to kind of consider for Act 2. And there's like a lot of positives for like how I think I operate better for Act 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know,
You definitely have more room to play with Act 2 this time.
Yes,
I would say.
I feel like there's a lot more for me to do, and I think it's more engaging for me to play.
do you feel like much changed in between, like, we are going to talk about Act 2 because we've taken a very different approach.
Yeah.
But, you know, recording at the Electric Recording Lab and tracking bass.
For Knock Knock.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Knock Knock, sorry. Just lost what, well.
No, we're all good.
songs. But yeah, like, how do you feel that went in terms of, like, did it feel different? Track.
I mean, it did feel
studio?
different.
Yeah.
I felt different knowing I was only there for a day.
Well, yeah, we were there for only day.
Yeah, we're
like,
only
one
there
day.
for a day.
Yep.
And I thought that's pretty good because like it didn't feel like a job. It felt like something that like I was going there, I was going to have a fun time. I was going to record some tunes with my band fam. And I was like I just wanted to have a good time with it. And I remember fun things with it like
We,
us
like,
outside.
outside, we're just like
We're
trying to figure out the
trying to
breakdown.
figure out that, yeah.
Yeah, the breakdown sort of dual running riff thingy.
Because like
Yeah,
that wasn't
knock,
in the demo for bass.
No, I think it was just dun,
That's just
dun.
it's just your guitar line, and you're like, can we try out in the bass?
let's double
and
it.
I'm like, all right, let's
Yeah.
have a look.
Turned out good, I think.
Yeah, I think I prefer it there, and it's more fun for me. But yeah, like I think going into that place with Scott, the engineer's name is Scott.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scott, and then I was like, wait.
Who is this Scott person?
not
You're
supposed
talking
to
about?
say
I don't know
It's
what
Scott.
his name is.
He's great.
Yep.
He I got in there. I actually felt very comfortable going in there, because I was just like, I've got this. I've been in the studio before. We're not forking out like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Only there for a day
Only
for
there
one
for-
song.
There for a day for a song.
Yeah, it was less
Yeah.
pressure that time as well.
Stuff
Especially
that-
since they're just one-off songs. so-
Yeah, and stuff
Yeah.
that like we can edit and like take back, and there's no like we didn't have like we had an idea for a date, but it wasn't like locked in for release.
Yes, yeah. It was
Because they're like, oh, it's gonna be a Christmas song. It's gonna come out at Christmas, and it's like, well, if we can, it just depends on when everything gets done.
Yep.
So yeah, I felt very comfortable, and I think that kind of helped me play a bit better and maybe more open to trying new ideas. Like it made me feel open to trying that new
just
stuff at the
come up with
breakdown.
something, yeah, in the middle of the day.
Yeah, or like I was playing the that bit after the second chorus,
Ah, yes. The
like the power chordy
dun,
bits.
dun, dun.
Yeah, the swaying softly.
Yeah.
I was playing that lower up, and then obviously you get like other suggestions from people. Like Scott suggested me playing it higher,
Yeah,
and it sounded a lot better higher, and it sounded like it's like, oh, this is Christmas.
Also, I think you did end up tracking acoustic guitars for that one as well, didn't you?
I had an idea and I tried it, and we didn't use it.
Okay.
But like at the same time, it's like I got to try something.
You did still track it?
It did track, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've got a video of it.
Yeah. It's just like ideas, and but at the same time, it's like I also felt comfortable using that idea.
Yeah.
But I also felt comfortable enough to try that in Ginger because incantations.
Yes, to just make it up on the
Sleep Deer and Incantations guitar line was on the day.
Dun.
I was like, hey, this could work.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still play that guitar line.
Well, I hope you do.
Well, I never do it live.
Oh yeah, because when will we
Have
ever
both
put
at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're like one of those like I don't know, like where they have like the two guitars in one, just get it for bass.
Sure, I should.
They have a. They do.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
They have a double.
They
They have
do.
a bass and a guitar neck.
A lot of people who play it cover Feel Good use that.
Would it technically be called a double bass then?
Or
I don't know what it would be called, but we're getting off track.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic.
But yeah, I guess. So you would say it kind of feels more comfy.
I feel more
Cool.
confident now.
Confident,
Yeah.
So how's the last couple of bass sessions with me going?
They've gone really well, I think.
I definitely think so too.
I think I feel more confident as a bassist now than I did when I recorded all the Act 1 stuff. I think like I think what's changed in my writing is I don't have a lot of time on my hands, and I think I haven't had a lot of time to do demos. And I think it's been my biggest setback, but it's also been kind of good because I can, when I come in here and I try to track something, if it doesn't work, you guys just tell me it doesn't work, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's also like I get like another 2 set of ears when creating parts. Whereas like you don't get that when you do that at home. And it's good because like if I feel confident enough to try something and it works, like then that's a good thing.
There's nothing needs to be said.
Yeah,
it's
nothing
just
needs to be said. It's like that's good. That's the take. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's like I'd say that's like the large majority. Like we've tracked little less than half the songs for bass now, right? And
We've tracked 1/3, I think. 4 songs
Alright.
been done.
and I'd say like 85% of it, like we haven't really said like maybe it could be like done this way or anything. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Me
but
too.
even like stuff like
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but there's been like a whole complete like section rework on bass,
Yes. Yeah.
and like that was all done on day.
Yeah.
But I kind of prefer the new one anyway, and like I wouldn't have got that like if I was just tracking demos at home and we got into that place where we're comfortable, and not willing to try something new.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is what this.
Getting everyone else's opinion as well.
Yeah, that's
Which
what I
I've
mean.
been like adamant on doing with drums as well. So
Yeah, but like I
Exactly,
find
that's
it
my point.
easier in person because like if there's like
yeah,
change,
in person as well. Is good.
ideas come across a lot more easily in person. Whereas like if you're typing like maybe you could do bum at like it doesn't translate well in written form.
And it's a slog to read.
It is a slog.
That is so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
It's a
for those,
slog
but
to
yeah.
read like
Yeah.
written feedback.
Yeah.
And like I'm sorry to any of my students who have to read my feedback because it is a slog to read.
Yeah.
But
Um.
like if that's the only way you can kind of communicate it, then that's.
We have the time not to do that.
Yeah.
Like we can do it.
But I think that's
During
also part of the
recording.
preference in like recording how we're doing now, where it's like, okay, we have kind of set deadlines, and obviously like everyone's time is valuable.
Yeah.
So like for instance, we've had set bass days for me to come in and record bass here, and it's like, okay, these are my days. I'm gonna sort out my parts, make sure it's all there. Even if like the demos aren't done, like at least I'll have something to take home with me. It'll either be that completed bass track or it'll be ideas for me to workshop at home and bring back the next time.
Yeah.
And it's like as long as we're getting that end product on the day, then it's fine because
And
it's
Like, well, at least we've made progress.
yeah.
Like, whether it's finding.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's not like we're stuck in this part like where the parts are never going to get written, and it's just going to be a mess the entire time. It's like,
which hasn't been the case.
it's like if I take it home, like I'm practicing in the office at work. Sorry to the other arts teachers.
What do they say, actually?
I've been told to keep it down a few times.
But they don't mind you playing.
Pardon?
They don't mind you playing.
No, not usually. It's like if they're trying to like do like marking and stuff, then they'll just say like, hey, like I can't concentrate. Can you stop? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then I'll piss off to an instrumental room and keep going.
Fair enough. That's
but it's like, yeah, it's stuff that I can take home and make sure I've got down for next time. Like the song that we were doing last time. Like I've been practicing that pretty frequently just to make sure I've got it. So it's
It's awesome to hear. I know Brandon is happy to hear that.
So I think it's definitely a lot different because like I originally came here to do bass demos for Act 1, and then I like Knock Knock I did the bass demos at home. And then for Act 2 I'm extremely busy. It's so difficult to find the time to track and be proactive with that as much as I'd want to be. That's why it's like when I'm here, like I don't usually even I probably wouldn't even usually eat because it's like let's just keep tracking, like let's keep doing it because like it's the time that we've got.
It's almost like actually being at the studio, but not.
But like even like studio,
Time is scarce kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like I want to get as much done as I possibly can because like you guys do so much at home. Like this is the time that I've really like most of the time that I've got. Like I want to make sure it's up to scratch and it's not like disappointing you guys. And it's it's an effort. It's an effort thing.
Yeah, I think that we've talked
a lot of bass.
All things
talked
bass.
a lot of bass.
All about
Yeah.
that bass.
No
About that
trouble.
bass.
No trouble.
Yeah, I guess to wrap up this episode, I guess of the Black Diamond podcast, we do have a gig on August 9th at the Penny
We
Black.
do.
Not August 8th like I initially thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
August showed up
9th.
there.
But
yeah.
don't show up on the 8th. Show up
Please
on the
don't.
9th. The 9th.
I don't know the exact time, but Brandon will have link that.
Yeah, we'll attach like the Facebook link for the event in the description. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Don't
Hopefully.
forget.
If you enjoyed watching this episode, don't forget to click the link to our Patreon. Again, it's free. It's not we don't have any tiers, I don't think, that are actually paid at the moment. Or I don't know if we ever will.
I think there might
But-
be like a voluntary one, but you
Most of a voluntary
Yeah.
donation. But either way, we have extra content behind the scenes of the podcast and whatnot, as well as the rest of our music stuff. Will we get any bass tracks potentially?
Pardon?
Any demo bass tracks on the Patreon, Brandon? What do you think?
Ooh.
There's such a rare supply. Well, anyway, we can laugh and joke about
Yes,
it.
but that's the
Laugh, so we
Patreon.
don't
So
cry.
if you haven't signed up, if you're interested in it, please do, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, as well as join the
Or join the Reddit, join the Discord.
the
Well, on that
subreddit,
as well.
and the Discord that a fan. run.
Yeah, we're pretty active on the Discord, so
Yeah.
worth looking
I'm
into that
checking
one.
it like every day. I don't necessarily comment on it every day, but
Yeah,
check-
I definitely do have a look. I'm like, oh,
I have a
someone's
look, and
commented.
it actually makes my day. Like seeing all the Discord comments and like seeing them like chat about music, even if it's not our music.
Or you give me recommendations and stuff. It's really cool. Yeah.
No, it's really refreshing, and yeah, it's nice to see. I think we've got about 40 members at the moment.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah,
Damn.
we
we've
got almost
got more
40
people.
Smokes.
Yeah. To be fair, though, we're also like 5 of them.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, cut that actually.
But anyway, I've been a host today, Pat. Joined by again.
I'm still Caitlin. Just sitting here.
Yep.
I'm basic Luke.
I'm Joel as always.
Little drummer Joel.
Little drummer
Little
Joel.
drummer boy.
Pa-ra-pa-pum-pum.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.